All right, roll call.
Counsel Barton.
Present.
Present. Counsel Capano.
Present.
Present. Counsel Chakutis.
Present.
Present. Counsel Calucci.
Present.
Present. Counsel Seer.
Present.
Present. Counsel Field.
Present.
Present. Counsel LaPierre.
Present.
Present. Counsel Lozey.
Present.
Present. Counsel Net.
Present.
Present. Counsel Staubed.
Present.
Present. Counsel Walsh.
Present.
All present.
I'll rise for a moment of silence.
President, special prayer for Jerry Hogan.
And also for Dana Sayre.
And also the family of Sean McDuff.
Edward Johns.
And Patricia Ricks.
I pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Barton.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Thank you. I want to talk real quick about, the past week has been a pretty tough week in Lynn. And we had floods, we had a gas leak, we had a couple of big fires, unbelievable snowstorm. Fire department, police department, DPW, all the city workers did an unbelievable job. As Councilor Barton always says, everybody just did their job. That's what everybody gets paid for, he's right. But I also want to take this opportunity right now to point out our newly elected mayor, Thomas McGee, who hit the ground running. I met him Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, pointing, yelling, and screaming at everybody what to do during the snowstorm. And he had Megan and Robin upstairs in his office. So he got inaugurated real quick, and his staff did, as to what it's like to be the mayor. But I think it's, I want to thank him for coming up here tonight for his first council meeting as mayor. I'm going to ask the mayor if you want to come up and say a few words. You can come up here. All right. He comes up here.
If you would like.
The podium is yours, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I don't know, maybe not.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. I want to just thank Darren for inviting me tonight just to say a few words, and I want to thank you all for what was a great inauguration last week. It was a great celebration of this community, of all of the people that got elected, and I think just as importantly, those who weren't elected but put their names out on the ballot and wanted to really try to make a difference in this community. I look forward to working with all of you. My staff, Megan is here, but my staff is, our door's open, and I look forward to working with all of the councilors. And Darren's right, we had quite a week now. It's been 7 days, but I was really impressed with the response in this community. The Emergency Operations Center, which brought so many different people in this community together, DPW, police and fire, schools, water and sewer, and I think really showed the talent that's in this community and how coming together and working together we can really take on some real big challenges. That storm with the biggest storm surge since 1978, flooding that happened in parts of the community, I think really reflected well on all those people, including all of the councilors who I know are out around the community in your districts, checking out what was going on. The work that, over 32 hours of work that really was impressive. And as Darren talked about, the couple of gas issues and then that major fire last night, it really reflects well on the people in this community, the police and fire, and the people in the city that really care about people. And we've been inundated already with people that want to help out to those that have lost their homes in that fire last night. It reflects, I think, really well on who the people in the city of Lynn are, who we are, what kind of community are, and I know that we're going to continue to work forward with challenges that we'll face together, financial challenges that we'll face over the next couple of months that we're going to have to work together to try and solve those problems. But I really feel good about the opportunity we have in this community to work together and draw on the real strength, which is the people here that you see every day in your, as both at large, but more importantly as the wards that you represent. It really reflects well on who we are as a city, and I think recognizing that outside of this community. People are looking to Lynn to be a leader in this region. We're going to be continue to show that as we've seen over the last 6 days in trying times. It reflects well on the good times that we're going to have working together. So I look forward to working with you. And again, I thanks Darren for letting me on your first night, your first meeting, to say a few words and talk about the excitement that I have and hopefully you have about what we can do together to make the city continue to be the great place we all love to live and work and raise our families in. So thanks again. Thank you, Darren, and look forward to working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I said only a few seconds. Yeah, no, you did a great job, Mr. Mayor. I almost called you Tommy. Thanks, Jeff. Public hearings.
We have the petition of Winthrop Property Services, Pedro Maldonado, to permit the alteration of an existing building to allow 4 residential units and a garage at 426 Boston Street.
All those
Mr.
wishing-
President, I'm Attorney Vitale. I represent Mr. Maldonado, who's seated here in the first row. Most councilors, I think, are familiar with this site. It's adjoining the Hibernian. It's on the corner of Federal and Boston Street. It has a long history. It's in an industrial district, a heavy industrial district, which sort of reflects a time long ago when that area had leather factories, the General Electric. It was an industrial area. Now the area has changed. With the council's help and assistance, there's a brand-new gas station going in and across the street. The Market Basket is around the corner. And what Mr. Maldonado proposes is to put 4 residential units by adding 2 stories to the existing building. This is what the existing building sort of looks like. It's been there for over 50 years or more. It has had many uses, including at one point it was a 2-family dwelling, but it's always had a kind of hybrid use that reflected the fact that it was in an industrial district. What he proposes is to change the character of the use, and to do that he needs your permission. And how he proposes to do it is to develop 2 floors above what's there now and create 4 residential units, each be a 2-bedroom unit with on-site parking, as shown on this plan. And in order to do that, we need council consent. If the council were to approve it, we can go to the last sheet, we can show you what the facade of the building would look like. And as I think I told the President when I first was approached by Mr. Maldonado, who lives in Saugus and has done developments along the North Shore, one of the first things he said to me is he couldn't understand why there was a fence placed in such close proximity to the Hibernians, whether it was a spite fence or whatever. So he said no matter what he was going to do, he's going to take down that fence because it made no sense. And since then, he's talked with, at the Councilor Walsh's suggestion, with the Hibernians and assured them that whether the proposal gets approved or not, the fence is coming down because it just didn't make sense, and he wants to be a good neighbor, and he doesn't understand why it was there. I have a theory, but it's only a theory that somebody was concerned about people parking at that corner or whatever. But as you know, the way to do things is to be a good neighbor, and he wants to start out doing that, and so he made that commitment to the Hibernians, he makes that commitment to you, and what we're asking you to do is to give him the opportunity. He acquired the parcel for $400,000. To convert it and add the 2 stories and make it residential use is going to be another $600,000. So you're taking what's on that corner and having $1 million investment, which I think inures to the benefit of all of the people who live in that area. I'd be glad to answer any questions that any member may have. Yes, 4 units require 6 spaces. I think the plan that we showed you there has 8. And there's a garage. It's 2 40-foot wide bays. So 2 people are going to be fortunate enough to park indoors, and then we'll have sufficient parking on the lot but off the street. Because parking and traffic, as you well know, given the history of what the development has been down there, is a legitimate issue, and the way to address it is the way that the city has, which is to require people to have on-site parking.
Thank you.
You can ask questions after the hearing is over. Are there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone in opposition? Please come to the podium. State your name and your address, sir.
Good evening. My name is John O'Neill. I live on Saratoga Street in Lynn. I'm the manager of the Hibernian Bar, and would like to ask for a 2-week extension on this due to our offices change every year, and there's been a lack of communication, a lack of mail getting back and forth. I just became aware of this yesterday. Other board members that I was speaking with, it was the same thing. We just want to get together and knock this around to make sure it's in, obviously, our best interest also. So if we could, we'd like to extend it till the next council meeting.
Okay, after the public hearing is over, a motion will have to be made by one of the councilors in order to do that. So is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone else? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you. I had spoken to DJ McNulty down at the Hibernian, who is the, I believe, the head of the property management for the Hibernian, and they had kicked it around and said that it was no problem. So I've also met with Mr. Maldonado, and they're going to be removing a fence that, as Sam Vitale had mentioned, that is kind of a spite fence that's been back there. I would like to have a motion to approve this.
Second.
Okay, a motion made, seconded, discussion.
I just had a
Councilor
question.
Starbird.
Could I see the parking lot again? Is the parking in the back now?
No, it's the site, we'll show you the plan. It's right. The requirement for parking for a residential property is 1.5 per dwelling unit. So for 4 units, you need 6 spaces. And that plan reflects the exterior spaces. The garage is shown, and there would be 2 spaces within the garage. You enter the garage off Frederick Street. So if you've been down at the site, you see right here?
Right, so here's the Hibernian,
Right.
and these are the parking spaces here?
Right, and 2 in the garage. You drive right into the garage.
Okay. So, especially after this week, my concern would be snow mitigation.
All of this here is 8 foot wide, it goes all the way back. That'd be, obviously, that's egress, but all this here can be used for snow closures.
Okay. It's just, how is snow gonna be piled up around?
We can pile snow in the corner, the lot, without affect the parking spaces. We have more than what is required in parking in there.
And these are apartments, not condos?
Correct,
So
apartment.
you'll always be responsible for this?
Correct, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or any more discussion? The motion has been made and seconded. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Capano?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field? Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Starbird?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. Any other public hearings?
Thank you.
Yep. We have a public hearing relative to a burnt, dilapidated, or dangerous building or other structure located at 7 Fuller Street, and after hearing may make record of an order adjudging it to be nuisance to the neighborhood or dangerous and prescribing its disposition, alteration, or regulation. All is authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 139, Section 1.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Seeing none, that part of the hearing is closed. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you. This property, 7 Fuller Street's been an ongoing problem, even at the start of my career here at the council. When I was door knocking, people had brought it to my attention. It was a lot of activity happening at the house. There's been a recent drug bust at the house, which opened up the doors to have ISD in there. The house is in really, really bad condition. There's needles and there's a lot of other things in there, buckets of feces and stuff. So at this time, I would like to put a demolition order in. It's really dangerous to the neighborhood the way it sits. And I know in the past we've done this when buildings have come up and been problems to the neighborhood.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Capano?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Public hearings to be set down.
We have the petition of Mobility LLC/Sprint PCS to attach small cell wireless to a utility pole located at Forest Street and Polando Terrace. And we have a petition again of Mobility LLC Sprint PCS to attach small cell wireless to a city-owned light pole located at Broad and Market Street.
It's the wish of the council. Set them down. Motion made. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Committee meetings, Ways and Means. Councilor Net.
Yes, Mr. President, the committee voted unanimously to approve. I make a motion to accept.
Okay, would the clerk read all the transfers, please?
Yep.
Motion made to accept.
Transfer the sum of $800 from the account of reserve to the account of Collectors General Office Supply expense to purchase general office supplies. Transfer the sum of $12,294 from the account of insurance losses expense to the account of police vehicle expense to fund lease/purchase of a new vehicle from insurance proceeds for a police car that was deemed a total loss from our insurance carrier. Transfer the sum of $5,205 from the account of the mayor's expense to the account of prior year unpaid bills of the mayor to fund unexpected expense from prior years. Ordered that the city comptroller be and is hereby authorized to take the following actions. Certify an available fund the amount of $189,851.22 as allotted to the City of Lynn Police Department by the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security for the FY18 Shannon Community Safety Initiative Grant. Certifies an available fund the amount of $2,745 as allotted to the City of Lynn Police Department by the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security for the FY18 Traffic Enforcement and Equipment Program Grant. Ordered that the city comptroller be and is hereby authorized to reduce general fund appropriations in the amount of $1,02,261.00 from the accounts identified as the insurance premiums in the amount of $330,000, the treasurer's outside professional in the amount of $100,000, the city clerk equipment lease in the amount of $197,500, the interest expense in the amount of $100,000, the Essex NS Tech tuition in the amount of $74,761.
Motion made. Seconded. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Capano?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field? Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Councilor Net, was there an emergency?
It was an all emergency.
Okay, motion made for an emergency, seconded. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Capano?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey? Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Licensing. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unanimous vote of Committee on Licensing, motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded. Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Capano?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Seer?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Any new business?
Mr. President,
Yes,
have
Council
the
Coach.
DPW committee look at getting parking on one side of the street in snowstorms?
One-sided parking,
Yes, only in snowstorms.
only, so you're asking that the DPW committee
Let
take a
them,
look at that?
Yeah, see what they can do to implement it if they can, or not.
Second.
Motion made, seconded.
Motion, huh? Oh, unbelievable.
Discussion.
Mr. President, I don't think we need a motion to ask chairmen of our committees to take up action.
Peter just seconded it.
No, and it's okay, but I'm just saying that just doesn't seem the way we want to go if we're going to put things on the agenda to make motions to get items on your agenda.
Mr. President, this is a new year. This is a new year.
No, I don't have a problem with it. As the chairman of the Department of Public Works Committee, I'll be happy to consider that, take it up, and discuss with the counselor his motion that what he wants to do.
So maybe we can have Attorney Lamanna come to the podium and I can ask him a question. Because there is an issue in the city right now with parking. It's unsafe the way people park. Everybody doesn't use common sense, especially on a lot of these side streets. Is it possible that the city council can now ask the DPW to implement one-sided parking, or do we have to go through a public hearing?
I believe it's an existing law, so I will look at that at the discretion of the DPW commissioner. So I will look into that.
Okay, so unfortunately, it's going to be 2 weeks before we're able to address that. So, Councilor Lapierre.
Just on the point of the motion, to Councilor Lozzi's point, I would ask that this not be precedent-setting going forward, that if we do this tonight, to refer it to subcommittee, that it's non-precedent-setting in the future. Doesn't create precedent by doing this.
Councilor Capano.
I agree that we can't bring up every single thing at these meetings, but there's been issues like this brought up before. This is a serious issue. There was no committee meeting that would have addressed this problem tonight, so this is a proper forum, I believe, to bring up in a case of an emergency where it is the middle of winter. We just had a storm, might have one pretty soon, to bring this up as soon as possible. This is the quickest way to do that. I wouldn't want to bring up every single thing, you know, every meeting we have, but I think this issue, you know, there's nothing wrong with bringing this up right now. I think it is. I'm glad that it was raised.
Councilor Calucci.
Thank Peter for his wisdom here.
So, Councilor Barton.
Mr. President, we just had a big major fire in the city, and a lot of the fire apparatus couldn't get down the street, so this is a big problem.
Okay. So, again, Attorney Lamanna, can you please come to the podium? So if the council requested in 2 weeks to have the chief, fire chief, police chief, and the head of the DPW to come in front of the council in 2 weeks to discuss this matter and to see if we could take quick and appropriate action at that point, I know there's no way we can act on it tonight. That's what stinks.
I will do legal research. I believe there's an existing ordinance that calls for odd-numbered parking, odd-sided parking 1 year, and then even the next during certain months. So I believe that's at the discretion of the DPW commissioner. I will look at that the moment the meeting's over. So there may be a mechanism in place now, but typically you would have to have an ordinance, and that requires 7 days publication. But if there's something on the books, it may be something appropriate for the DPW commissioner, the police chief, fire chief, to discuss whether to exercise that discretion.
Okay. Councilor Barton.
Mr. President, why don't we just put it on the agenda for public safety next meeting, and we'll do it under that?
Okay, that's fine, but also I think if a motion could be made, that we send a letter to the DPW commissioner asking him to consider doing one-sided parking. We're in an even year to use the even side of the street right now because of situation that we were faced with yesterday with the fire. So if somebody wants to make a motion to do that.
I make that motion that you just said.
Motion to send a letter to the commissioner.
Mr. President, you have a motion on the floor that was seconded. Is that rescinded now?
Just roll call the first motion.
Okay. A motion was put on the floor to have a meeting in front of the DPW, and it was seconded. So do we still want to continue on with that and go forward with that meeting? Motion's been made, seconded.
Given the light of the information that our solicitor gave us, I don't think it's necessary, and
Okay, we'll resend that motion.
Rescind, get motion made to rescind and seconded. So another motion has been made to send a letter to the Commissioner Hall asking him to implement one-sided parking on the even side of streets in Lynn for public safety reasons, and to concur with the fire chief and police chief.
Just a clarification, I thought that the solicitor was going to research whether or not there's an existing ordinance regarding the parking on one side, and that maybe we should wait for him to do his research and then go from there, and I'm sure we can act by the next meeting, whatever the pleasure is of the council regarding this issue. It's obvious that there's a need to implement something. If it's already on the books, and as the solicitor said, it's up to the DPW commissioner, then I think we could take a vote as a council to urge him to implement the existing ordinance which restricts parking on one side of the street. And I think that's where, I think we're headed.
All right, if the council doesn't mind if I speak from the podium, I agree with what Councilor Lozey is saying, but what I also think is, it will not take our attorney 2 weeks to figure this out. He'll be able to, by tomorrow morning, know. So I think what we ought to do is, if he realizes there is an ordinance and that we can't implement it, that if we take a vote now asking them to implement it, if we have that right, then
Bingo.
that saves us 2 weeks' time, and it may save somebody,
Mr. President?
you know.
Car accident.
So, do you want to amend your motion?
Just what you just said.
Okay. You want me to repeat it?
So moved.
It's all good.
One more.
One more?
Mr.
Go ahead,
President, thank
Brian.
you. If we could extend that invitation to the parking department as well, so we can be advised as far as what their suggestions would be as well, as far as parking on certain streets, and what they found out, what helps and what doesn't help.
Okay, so you want to extend that to the parking department,
Please.
but we can't keep people from parking on the street, only on one side.
Right, but I just want as much information as possible before we have to make
Okay.
a decision. But I think their advice would be welcomed.
All right, so send a letter to everybody, parking, police, fire, and Commissioner Hall. Yep. Right. So the motion's been made. It's been seconded. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Barton?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Capano?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Calucci?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Seer?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Lozey?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Staben?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Any more new business?
Motion to adjourn.